Welcome to Arid Online Academy. In this video, we'll be focusing on calculating percentage purity. If you are joining my channel for the first time, I will appreciate if you could subscribe and share with your friends and colleagues. Also remember to click the notification bell so that when I drop videos like this, you'll be the first to be notified. Now, in this particular video, we'll focus on performing calculation involving percentage purity. So let's go straight and look at a particular question as an example of how to tackle performing calculation involving percentage purity. Honestly, it is not difficult at all, but we need to take it stepwisely. So let's look at this question. Iron react with excess sulfuric acid to give iron 2 sulfate. The equation of the reaction is iron plus sulfuric acid to give iron 2 sulfate plus hydrogen. Then 5 gram of iron gives 13.36 gram of iron 2 sulfate. The first part of the question says, using excess acid, how much iron 2 sulfate can be obtained from 10 gram of iron and 1 gram of iron. So let's first tackle the first part of this question. So the first thing you will need to do is to just look at the equation of reaction and of course consider the ratio that we have given to us in this particular question. Okay, looking at the ratio we have here, it says 5 gram of iron gives 13.6 gram of iron 2 sulfate. So let's assume that we are not working with mole ratio of the equation. We just want to use the mass ratio given to us to calculate this question. So I will be solving this question working in terms of the ratio of the masses of product as against the ratio of the mass of the reactant that is given to us. So let's solve the first part of this question. Okay, so we have from the question, we have iron, okay, reacting with sulfuric acid to form iron 2 sulfate. So I'm just focusing on this iron and iron 2 sulfate. And from the question, we're given 5 gram of iron will give 36 gram of iron 2 sulfate. 5 gram of iron, 36 gram of iron 2 sulfate as given by the particular question. 13.6 gram, pardon me, 13.6 gram of iron 2 sulfate. So we have 13.6 gram of iron 2 sulfate. This is what we call the stoichiometry of the equation. What that simply means is that there is a law that guides how the iron combine with the sulfuric acid to produce the iron 2 sulfate. And in fact, the question says that you have excess sulfuric acid. What is the meaning of having excess sulfuric acid? That simply means that all the iron present each time will always be used up because the sulfuric acid is more than enough to consume or react with the iron present. So each time 5 gram of iron is utilized, it's going to produce 13.6 gram of iron 2 sulfate. So that seems like a law, okay? That seems like a law that guides this reaction. So we are going to capitalize on this law like a ratio to find, the product that will be formed when a certain quantity of iron is utilized. So having said that, this first part says, now if you use 10 gram of iron, what mass of iron 2 sulfate, okay, can be obtained from that? So let's take the first part of the question, that is the A part of it. Okay, so we know that 5 gram of iron, when it is fully utilized, produce 13.6 gram of iron 2 sulfate. Therefore, 10 gram of iron will produce what? So let's say x gram. Therefore, x gram will be equals to 10 multiplied by 13.6 gram. So that will give us what? 2 times 13.6 gram. So that gives what? Press your machine, you're going to get 27.2 or 2 grams of iron 2 sulfate. So if you look at this question, what we've done basically is just to find the ratio. That is exactly what we have done, just to find the ratio. So the second part now says, okay, what mass of iron 2 sulfate will be obtained from 1 gram of iron? So we'll follow the same examples to be able to perform this calculation. So 5 gram, according to the stoichiometry of the reaction, always produce 13.6 gram, pardon me. Okay, so 1 gram therefore will produce what? That means we have 1 over 5 multiplied by what? 13.6 gram. And that gives what? That is going to give 2.72 grams of iron 2 sulfate. It's as simple as that. Okay, so let's look at the second question. The B part of it says, how much iron would be needed to make 13.136 gram of what? Of iron sulfate. How much iron will be needed? Now they're asking us, if we have certain quantity of product, what mass of iron do you think would have produced that? So let's go back to that. From the question, we're able to establish that 5 gram, okay, we're looking at B part now, but 5 gram of iron always produce 13.6 gram of iron 2 sulfate according to this particular equation that we have there. Now the question is asking us, what mass of iron will produce 136 gram of what? Of iron 2 sulfate. 136 gram of iron 2 sulfate. So let's just find the ratio. Therefore, x, okay, x could be equals to x will be equals to 136 gram over 13.6 multiplied by what? By 5 gram of iron. So whatever mass that we get now will be the mass of what? The mass of iron. So if you divide this, you're going to get 10. So that gives us what? 50 grams of iron. Very simple. 50 grams of iron. So let's look at the third question there. The third question says 10 gram sample of impure iron sulfate contains 8 grams of iron sulfate. 10 grams of impure sample contains 8 grams of iron sulfate. So we are asked to calculate the percentage purity of the what? Of the iron. Calculate the percentage purity of the iron. So we have 10 grams of impure copper sulfate. So let's assume this is a quantity of copper sulfate, okay, and it weighs 10 grams. It is not pure. But we're told that after purification, they found that out of these, we have 8 grams of these as pure. So what is the percentage purity? Percentage purity. So percentage purity, remember the formula. Percentage purity, okay, purity equals to what? Mass of pure substance over total mass multiplied by what? By 100. Okay, just do your best to remember this formula. It's pretty self-explanatory and very simple. So multiply that. The mass of pure that we got here is 8 grams according to the question, okay, over total mass, which is 10 grams according to the question, multiply by 100, and that should give what? 80%. You can see it is absolutely simple how to work with percentage purity. I'll see you again in the next video where we are going to be solving another question on percentage purity. Take care guys and keep studying.